Hey guys, welcome back to Clownfish TV. This is Kneon. I am here with Geeky Sparkles.
Hello.
And last night we talked about Twitch and censorship and how they're going on a ban spree. They're going to ban you if you say or do something off platform they don't like. And now it's YouTube's turn. We're going to talk about YouTube today and YouTube kind of pleading poverty.
That's interesting to me.
They really don't make as much money as people seem to think they do.
But you know, they take half the ad revenue right from the top.
They do. They do. So we're going to talk about the financial side of YouTube, and we're also going to talk about some comments by the YouTube CEO that seems to indicate that they're going to, I guess, downplay certain kinds of channels in the algorithm because they can.
Well, yeah, because they're not actually news. And in some cases I agree, in other cases I do not.
Yeah, so before we get into it any further, please subscribe for more pop culture news, views, and rants, guys. We're over 185,000 subs. Kind of crawling along here. Maybe we're being suppressed in the algorithm.
See, I think we're more of like a talk show.
Yeah.
Than, anything else. But, that's just me.
Fake news fishies.
Fake news fishies. Even though we're right. Like 9 times out of 10, which is funny.
You're lying.
You're so wrong. You're making it up, and then it comes to pass, and then they're just like, I got clocked. You gotta be right a couple times a day, and it's like we were right more than that, you little asswipe. But anyway.
And then as soon as you call them an asswipe, they tell you they're 13 and block you.
Right. But it's funny because see, we are not a news channel because a real news channel wouldn't call you an asswipe. So there you go.
Wouldn't it be awesome if they did?
I know.
All right.
That would go viral.
So I saw this article a couple of days ago on The Information, which is quickly becoming one of my favorite sites. I gotta tell you, I like this site. They were the ones who actually had the information on the Crunchyroll sale months before anybody else had it, and they do seem to have the inside track on everything going on. And they put this article out there talking about how YouTube is the most popular, or one of the most popular social media platforms, but it doesn't make as much money as people seem to think, based on what Google is telling them. Now, I have to wonder if there isn't some juggling going on here.
Google owns YouTube.
Yeah.
So Google could say whatever the hell they want.
Yeah, they can say, oh, golly, YouTube's just not doing that well, guys.
But at the end of the day, YouTube takes half of the ad revenue from the creators, every single one of them, across the entire channel. So half of like PewDiePie's money, half of our money, half of everybody on the channel's money. If you're monetized, and here's the next question. If you're so upset about having money, why'd you make it so damn hard for channels to monetize?
That is a good question. They did. They were actually talking about the finances, and then it's so hard to get monetized now. Now our channel's been monetized for years, but I know a lot of newer creators are coming into it and they're like, oh my God, how do I get monetized? It's going to take forever. And it's like, it's hard. It's really hard now.
So they're trying to make it like they're pushing down some places to try to, promote others, I think, to try to make them hit monetization. But again, at the end of the day, if you're so worried about losing money, why the hell did you, and we're talking like a vast number of channels didn't pass the monetization and got it taken away.
Yeah, there were some channels that they didn't hit the viewership threshold or the sub threshold, and they had monetization. They might not have been making very much money, maybe $20 or $30
but even
a month.
Then, that's $30 per person that YouTube was getting also times tens of thousands of channels. Yeah. It adds up. So I'm just saying.
Their point of view, as I recall, because they always have a story. As I recall, their point of view was it's not worth the manpower and the aggravation to monetize channels.
Which I don't disagree, because we've seen it other places too, where people get all mad and it's like, but they're paying your hosting.
Yeah.
So your hosting probably costs more than the money you bring in. So and they're still giving you free hosting if you don't make money, which is coming out of the half of the money from everybody else. I'm sure their hosting is horrible.
Yeah.
I'm sure they own a lot of it themselves, but I'm sure it's a lot of people and a lot of money. That being said, they already cut some of their money off by doing that, and now they're complaining they don't make enough money.
Yeah, so let's talk about this. So this is coming from The Information, The Briefing. YouTube dominates an audience, but not ads. Pew Research Center said that 81% of Americans say they watched YouTube, making it not only the most popular video service of any kind, but the most widely used digital service, well ahead of even Facebook.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, YouTube was one of only 2 services, the other being Reddit, to become more popular since the last study in 2019. All in all, the figures are a stunning reminder of how ubiquitous YouTube is. At the same time, the study highlights what a poor business YouTube is from the point of view of its owner, Google. YouTube's ad revenue last year was $19.8 billion. That's about a quarter of Facebook's ad revenue and less than Netflix makes from subscriptions.
Well, that's the difference. Netflix is actually showing you, shows and movies. They tried YouTube Red. People just didn't like it. They're also used to getting for free.
Yeah, they were trying to do the Netflix model, but then Netflix's overhead too. They're producing all this content, so they might be making more money, but they got to shell out millions of dollars in content.
But Google, they act like they're pleading poverty, but Google's the ones who brokers the ad rates and brokers the ads themselves.
Right.
So I'm like, they're the ones out there brokering the ads. Like creators can't, get better ads because the creators all that power. So what's the next thing? Oh, you know what, creators, we're going to have to shut down if you don't take 30% instead of 50 or something like that.
Yeah, I'm wondering. There's definitely they're heading for something. There's going to be a gotcha moment here pretty soon, and we're going to talk about Susan Wojcicki. I think that's how you pronounce her last name. I have a really hard time pronouncing her last name. Susan over at YouTube, the CEO. And we're going to talk about some of the comments she made that seems to indicate that they're trying to go more... I would not be surprised. They want to go more mainstream. I would not be surprised if YouTube does try this Netflix model again. It didn't work last time, but...
I think we're going to talk about them suppressing news channels, and I think it's because, those networks will pay them a lot of money to make sure that they're the ones that are being heard.
They're case building. Mm-hmm. They're case building. So Google probably keeps a little more than half of the amount. It has to split the revenue with creators. Oh, poor Google.
Right, but again, Google, don't feel bad for Google. Google has no problem getting ads when they want to. Yep. They have ads across, all over the place. The monetization, for most of the blogs out there and stuff, are done through Google.
Yeah, I mean, even if you have an ad network, if you have a third-party ad network, they're still buying the bulk of their advertising from Google. A lot of the inventory is from Google. If they're not selling ads directly, it just kind of falls back to Google ads. Mm-hmm. So it's a Google world. Google's making a ridiculous amount of money off of other people's content. That's the difference here. Netflix might be making more money. They have to shell out more money. Google people are giving them content. They're monetizing your content. Apples to apples here, people.
That's a very valid point. Yeah, Netflix, they have to pay for the content, and then now they're having to pay residuals for some people. But Netflix or not Netflix, YouTube, you just get it for free. Everybody does their own content. They edit their own videos. Basically, you just manage the chaos and take the money, and you don't do anything else.
Yeah, and I want to bring this up here real quick too, because this explains so much. Last fall, YouTube began showing ads on all videos, even if creators didn't want them. So they're starting to put ads on videos. Even channels that are not monetized, they're running ads, I guess.
But you don't get the money.
You don't get the money. Now, this happened to us a couple of times. We actually demonetized videos. We had one talking about Chadwick Boseman's death. Mm-hmm. I turned ads off.
Yeah, when it's a sensitive thing, we would turn it off.
The other one I think was Rusty Taylor, the voice actress who died. We turned it off because it feels wrong to monetize somebody's death. Had people calling us out in the comments, "You scum, you're running ads on." I'm like, it was not us. I went back, I double checked the settings. And I'm like, I'm not putting ads on these videos. Us. So I would log out and log back in. Sure enough, there's an ad. And here it was, YouTube decided it was going to run ads on everything.
They'll take all the money.
Yeah.
So it's
I've actually rated. They do this self-rating thing for creators now. You go through and you answer this little questionnaire and you rate your video. And they'll tell you if you get a green check or a yellow check.
We're always very honest.
Yeah, which are some ads, and then if you're not allowed to monetize the video, depending on how you answer. I've had ones that I overrated, I guess, and I actually gave us a yellow, which is partial demonetization. They would review it a couple hours later and turn it to green.
But it's interesting. They have told you before. They appreciate how honest you are.
They did. I got a little note one time that said, thanks for being honest.
And thanks for trying so hard to be upfront about stuff. So we don't do things we shouldn't do, and we make sure we're honest about what we do.
So, yeah, they said that meanwhile, YouTube is facing growing competition from apps like Instagram and TikTok.
TikTok, I think, is what they're worried about, but there's no monetization on TikTok.
Yeah, I mean, you can get brand deals and stuff like that.
That's
but
about it.
Kind of like Vine. What kind of killed Vine was there was no good monetization.
So what, is TikTok taking all the ad money from it?
I don't know.
Is that what YouTube's looking at? Like, oh, if there's an ad run there, they get all the money.
It could be. I mean, look, digital ad spends. I mean, I know a lot of blogs were complaining that video was taking all of the ad spend. A lot of people were angry at YouTube because everybody was spending their money with YouTube and they weren't spending it on the networks or whatever. Mm-hmm. And now YouTube is kind of in the same situation where they might be taking, the ad spend, and even if they're just buying off an influencer, spending it with them rather than, on YouTube.
But then they're pleading poverty, which is, I think, is funny.
I don't think they're as poor as they're letting on. You can't be like the most popular video platform, run constant ads, and not have any money.
It's like, oh no, guys, we're running out of burgers. But you make all the burgers. It's like, how could you be running out of burgers? You make all the burgers.
But in this case, it's like, again, they're not even making the content.
No.
So there's no, I think that's kind of why they ditched the red thing, because they're probably like, why
I think they're still doing it, aren't they? I don't know.
Are they?
I don't know. Or you can subscribe and not have ads or something. I don't know.
For premium, yeah, but like Karate Kid moved to Netflix.
Oh, that's right. I don't know.
So they were doing shows. So they're probably like, we're basically printing money at this point. All we got to do is have servers, and we got to kind of sorta just pretend like we're being fair and paying attention.
Well, half the time you don't even get a response from anybody,
No.
and they just ban you. Don't tell you why.
Yeah. So I mean, it's kind of like it should just print money. Just buy server space, and that's it. So yeah, 95% of people 18 to 29 use YouTube, only 48% use TikTok, and 71% use Instagram, with Snapchat between two. Our kids don't even do Snapchat anymore. They do TikTok.
They mostly just watch TikTok. Yeah, Tim said TikTok. That's a completely different thing. Anyway,
MrBeast said in an interview, at the end of the day, if you want to make money, you go to YouTube, and I don't think that's going to change. Well, yeah, it's hard to monetize. But yeah, it's funny because a couple of years ago, I remember seeing this article that, most YouTubers who make money are poor. They're living in poverty. MrBeast, I did a video on him talking about how, sometimes it was really hard when I was just starting out and I needed to borrow like $500,000 till the end of the month.
What?
And I'm like, who borrows $500,000 until the end of the month?
People, I guess, have employees. Maybe we only have some blog people that help us. But other than that, it's just us.
It's like I can only give away 2 Ferraris this month. Damn it! I need more money. Yeah, I thought this article was kind of.
If he wants to give us $500,000 just to go help our channel, we would not be opposed to taking it. Anyway.
No, be careful, because he's actually got a new company.
Oh, that's right. He's trying
to buy into.
No, he won't do that.
Yeah, he's trying to buy into your channel, which I don't even.
How that's not going to work, or is that playing into this?
I don't know, because I don't know how you can, because technically at the end of the day, YouTube owns your channel. They own your channel. I mean, you have an account on YouTube, and your content, you can technically take it to another platform, but that channel is owned by YouTube. So I never understood when people were like, I'm going to buy a channel, how that even works, because it's not really yours to sell.
Yeah, I don't know how that works either.
I have no idea. But yeah, they were trying to say, hey, YouTubers, even successful YouTubers, it's very, very hard to make money on YouTube, and you're probably going to be poor. And they're like, oh, we have YouTube stars. I read the article before. I'm not going to go through the paywall thing here. But they were like, oh, there are people who finally make it on YouTube, and so gets all these millions of views a month, and they only make like $16,000 a year. And I'm like,
How?
Like, that's not
they have
even...
really good accountants.
I don't know.
That's
Do you
where
get
I'm at.
95% of your videos get demonetized?
That's something that makes sense. I mean, or unless maybe the ads were worth less then.
No, they were worth more.
Because I say that's about the Apocalypse was
yeah.
The second one where they were like, oh, the kid thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, which I think that was just advertisers trying to use it as an excuse to say, well, we're offended until you give us a price break. And then look, our offendedness has just disappeared.
Yeah, and that could be playing into this too. And this could all be interconnected again. Susan, CEO Susan, was at this summit, and she was talking to The Atlantic. Now, The Atlantic is actually a pretty far left publication, right? And the CEO, Nicholas Thompson, said that it's important that we have citizen news, and he's concerned that YouTube, with their attempts to suppress fake news, are going to suppress citizen journalists. And she basically said, yeah, we are. Yep, we totally are.
Yeah, and the reason that she gave was kind of like, because like something, when a big event happened, we had people like sharing misinformation. However, some of the big news outlets have also shared misinformation on their various times, and but they're still going to be trusted.
Yeah, let's talk about that. So this is what she said, Susan, with Geeky. When we had the Vegas shooting, unfortunately, there were a lot of people who were uploading content that was not factual, wasn't correct.
But no, I can understand that being a problem, though.
I can see that. It's much easier to just make up content and post it from your basement than it is to actually go to the site and be able to report and have high-quality journalistic reporting.
Well, then how do you explain a lot of these mainstream news outlets? Because they literally take one thing and say it means something else. They've gotten sued for mislabeling things, lying about things, whatever. But yes, they have the highest quality journalistic reporting.
So she said, yeah, that was just one example of what happens if you don't have a ranking. So sure, we want to be able to enable citizen journalists and other people to be able to report and other people to be able to share information on new channels. But when we're dealing with sensitive topics, we have to have that information coming from authoritative sources.
I don't disagree with something like the Vegas shooting, something like that. I don't disagree about that. But what I'm saying is, how far does this go? Because like we talk about things like pop culture blogs labeling fans, and then doubling down on narratives which have been proven to be false repeatedly. They are verified news sources, some of them, and no matter how many times you prove it, here they come with yet another article stating this as fact, even if it isn't.
Oh yeah.
So at what place do you decide where it's we have to cut off so you don't have like fake news, and what part you could let people say what they want, and the next thing is who decides what's fake news or not?
Yeah.
Because the people were reporting that kid that they were saying was
the MAGA hat
that
kid,
MAGA hat kid. If people were reporting that he hadn't done anything wrong, they were called fake news, and then it turned out that he hadn't done anything wrong, and these places got their asses sued because they ran with something that they didn't verify. We've seen like mass shooting incidents and stuff that they were naming people that weren't the actual perpetrator. It's happened more than once, and then they were getting harassed because they thought they named the wrong person. So, in some cases I can understand it if it's something like that, but other cases I'm like, they can use this to try to just basically shut people up that don't lean away a certain way they want you to lean.
Yeah.
And we lean the same way a lot of these places lean, but that's still not going to be good enough because, we call them out. So we obviously are far right.
It's interesting though. Again, this is coming from Thompson, who's the CEO of The Atlantic. Again, The Atlantic is I would consider it a far left publication, and he's concerned. He said that's not an easy trade-off. I mean, your name is YouTube. The whole principle is that anyone can have complete free speech and publish whatever they want. That was the founding principle. I imagine this trade-off did not come lightly.
No, it came with who paid them the most to,
Yeah, and look, if they're case building, look how poor we are, guys. The ad revenue's down, and golly, we're not doing so well. And here comes, Disney. Hey, they changed the dislike. They took away the dislike.
I'm just saying, and now I think that has to do with a lot of things. But I'm just saying, who is to say one of these big companies, these big, and by the way, these big studios own a lot of the blogs that are the approved media outlets.
Yeah.
They're just the mouthpiece for these companies.
Disney owns ABC,
Right, and they own blogs. They own like Pop Sugar. Disney owns part of that. We have what CBS owns comicbook.com.
Yeah.
They're just mouthpieces for these studios and companies. And at what point does that become journalistic integrity or shilling for a company? And then because they're them, they get to say and do what they want because Mickey slipped them how much money,
Well, that's the thing. If YouTube's revenue is estimated at about $20 billion a year, when Disney was doing better, would it be out of the realm of possibility to imagine Disney throwing them $1 billion or $2 billion to do what they want, because that's a pretty, even if they were paying 10% of their...
Well, that $20 billion, a couple billion of it probably is Disney.
Yeah.
Because people joke every time we do a video, there's tons of ads
Constant
for Disney.
ads for Disney.
Anytime I watch, any YouTube videos of my own, I'm always seeing Disney ads.
Yeah.
So I'm just saying, it's like, where does the line get drawn?
So she's saying, Susan here is saying that they'll still let artists, musical artists and entertainers and stuff trend normally, but they're basically suppressing news that's not from vetted sources. She said if you look at breaking artists or discovering new, the latest small musician, it's very different than if you're looking for something like cancer information. You don't want to see someone who is just posting information for the first time when you're dealing with cancer. You want to see it from a medical organization.
I get what she's saying, though. I mean, I'm not going to completely say it's wrong because, I have seen some stuff on here that's very misleading and not cool. So I get that. So I think this mostly has to do with serious things like medical things or like, breaking news involving like things like shootings and stuff like that. I don't think it's really to keep everyone down.
Well, yeah, because she basically categorizes stuff differently. She said, what we've done is fine tune our algorithm to be able to make sure that we're still giving the new creators the ability to be found when it comes to music or humor or something funny, or so many other categories: beauty, crafts, learning, how to, all these different areas. But when dealing with sensitive areas, we take a different approach.
What is considered sensitive? If you're calling out the studios for the bullshit, the studios are giving them billions of dollars a year in advertising?
It could be, because look, there are some citizen journalists out there who are doing a better job than the mainstream media at this point. But their voices are going to be suppressed.
I think they'll be suppressed, but I also think that if you have a track record of being fair and reporting fair and honesty and getting things right, even if they don't promote you as much, I still don't think you're going to get found. Word of mouth is a huge help.
Well, a lot of these channels that get quote unquote suppressed, a lot of it is word of mouth, or they have mailing lists or something like that kind of build up. Like YouTube won't actually recommend the content. If you go out and search for it, you'll find it, but they're not actually going to recommend certain channels. And then they have plausible deniability. They can just be like, see, we didn't kick so-and-so off the platform. They're still there, but you have to actively go out and find them.
Right. But I'm just saying, I can see on some level why this is necessary, but then they're like talking about mask wearing and how people they were because people were telling people they didn't have to wear masks and stuff like that, they should be buried. And it's like, what you need to break it down and flat out, here's what we consider problematic areas, because it basically sounds like just people who don't say what we want them to say.
Yeah, look, and this is the problem that we have with Twitch too, is their guidelines have never been clear. There are our own experience. There have been certain topics that we have seen after we covered the topic that there would be a downturn in the algorithm. Basically, our videos wouldn't get boosted. Mm-hmm. I'll tell you, one of them right off the top of my head was, for a while, Vic Mignogna. If you talked about Vic Mignogna, your channel would be suppressed for, it looked like you were kind of on probation for a couple of weeks, because we saw a very noticeable decline in views. And then what would happen is, once YouTube feels like, well, they're not talking about that Vic guy anymore, we're going to turn the juice back on.
Well, and the thing is, I want to point out that there has never been any credible evidence that, has been brought up. So it doesn't. So, but the people that report, that he did bad things, are they being suppressed? Because it should be anybody who mentions him at all, then, not just one side, because they don't have any proof either. You know what I mean?
Well, what's going to be really interesting to see, and we talked about this before we started recording, is how this is going to affect other like pop culture blogs, because I've noticed that Nerdist, they had to lay a bunch of people off. They used to get all kinds of views on their content. They do not now. Now, it could be because the content's not engaging, but it could also be that, like, they're not considered an authoritative news voice anymore.
My comment to that is, if you're going to silence, anybody who covers news related to a certain thing like pop culture, then all the blogs that aren't like high-end mainstream blogs, they shouldn't be allowed to have a voice either.
No.
Because technically, we have the credentials, we have the journalism credentials ourselves, so we should be considered a news source. So,
yeah, I think it's going to be pay to play. I really do. I think it's going to be, coming back to this, I think this is going to be kind of their defense for, we had to cut a deal with NBC. This is why you see nothing but Tonight Show clips on trending.
But what's going to happen, and I'm going to tell you flat out, Susan, what's going to happen is people come to YouTube and TikTok and places like that because they don't want to see Hollywood's shit anymore. They are tired of it. There's a reason why all the award shows, people aren't tuning in. And when they get up on these, platforms that have these speeches, people are just turning the channel. There is a reason. People are sick to death of fake Hollywood and their bullshit. And I don't care if you are an extreme right person, extreme left person, or somebody like the majority of the world that's in the middle. Globally, people are just sick to death of it. So they want to go to places like YouTube where they can find fun cat videos, or they can, find, somebody talking about a movie they like or don't like, or, we can watch, learn how to, I go there all the time to find out how to do stuff. Like, oh my gosh, I'm not sure how to do this one thing in the house. I'll go watch a couple videos to make sure I'm doing it right. People are going to go there. That's where they're going. So what happens is if you start playing poverty and you start, cutting the money and chasing people off and, for these Hollywood again, people are just going to go elsewhere.
Yeah. Yeah. They'll go to other platforms. And that's how
you have the power. Use it.
Yeah.
I mean, you have the power. They need you more than you need them, honestly. Because everybody's tuning into YouTube. They're not tuning into to their movies and shows anymore. You have the power. How about you leverage for the creators instead of letting them tell you to ditch the creators?
Yeah, because there is without the yins. Without the yins. Without the yins, there's no. Yeah, that's what we should start. Yins tube.
Yins tube.
Yins or tube. No, without the use, there is no YouTube. That was the whole draw of YouTube. Is anyone could post their video content. Anybody could get famous. Anybody could be heard. And now it's basically just going to be, commercials for content on streaming platforms and on network TV and trailers and very safe.
Well,
content. I'm
just saying they have the power. They have Hollywood by the balls. They want to run ads on YouTube or Google in general because they how much of the ad world globally do they run? A lot of it. YouTube can fight back, but they're not going to is the thing. And stand up to them because people are coming to YouTube because they want to see the you in YouTube. They don't want to see the Hollywood people.
They want the FU.
Mm-hmm. They want the you, not the FU.
All right, so we're going to wrap this one up.
Yep.
Okay, so please subscribe for more pop culture news, views, and rants. If you manage to find us,
share and tell your friends. That might be the only way we're going to be found soon.
Yeah, who knows? I don't know, guys. Going to wrap it up. We'll talk later.
Bye.